Hello, my name is Aiden LaSalle, and this is our Energy Harvester project.
I'm Tanner Lacombe.
So when we were first starting to design our project, we created 3 functional requirements that were given to us that we needed to make sure we accomplished. We first needed to make sure that we captured unused or wasted mechanical energy within PFT. From there, we had to take that energy, transform it into a different form of energy, and then display it in an interesting manner that students would appreciate. So using those constraints, we came up with the first idea of to use a janitor cart and put motors on the bottom of the wheels that would use the rotational mechanical energy when pushing a cart and transform it into electrical energy and display it using a light bulb or something interesting that would attract the attention of PFT students. We eventually decided against this idea because it would be difficult to manufacture by getting motors on the bottom of each of these wheels without them being able to get damaged or get wet in a bathroom. We also thought it would be hard to display something interesting, as no one really wants to look at a janitor cart sitting in a bathroom, and the cleaning staff tries to hide these when they're not using them, so to get minimal use. Also, we wanted to use electrical energy to display our energy because it was the easiest. It's easiest to move long distances using wires instead of having to use pulleys or something extreme like that. So we decided for electrical energy. Another ideation we had was to use gravitational potential energy from a human as they sit on a seat and use a spring and pulleys to put a hard hat or safety equipment on their head. We eventually decided against this as there's not necessarily enough harvestable energy. The spring would have to condense too far for a human's weight to do enough work to get a hat on the head. We also determined that this lacked practicality because if you're putting a safety hat on a person and it has to swing full speed and it hits the person on top of the head, that could be more dangerous than if they were to just not wear the safety helmet. We also determined that it wasn't suitable for all users. It could be different for someone who is 5'2" compared to 6'4", or has an afro versus short hair, and many things like that. So that idea was eventually scrapped.
So this led to our final ideation and our final idea. After realizing the first 2 ideations were not feasible, we thought of just wind turbines in general, how they're able to produce loads of energy, and it's easy because of the HEPA machines that lie around LSU and mainly PFT that are unused. So after realizing that, we thought about how to implement a gearbox within our project and how that would increase the amount of power that we produce. Eventually though, we realized that the gearbox would not be feasible and it would take too much time to build. So it led to our final design of the fan blade on top of the HEPA machine, and our second picture is the actual base of our structure that holds everything together. This little part right here is what's going to hold the generator and the fan, and this is the wooden structure that has a hole cut out right here for the light bulb to sit in, and we have the fan blade right here underneath that blows and connects right to our HEPA machine. This is our final design where we use the kinetic energy of a fluid such as air from the HEPA machines, and we use the wind turbine generator that could potentially generate 120 volts. We placed all of this on top of the HEPA machines that blasted 1,200 cubic feet per minute of air, and this is our final design. This is the HEPA machine that we use, prominently known as OmniAir, but to most students, just a big block in the middle of the classroom that is unused. So we thought, okay, since we have these all around PFT, we can just utilize them to actually do something of use. And alternate ideations that we could replace the HEPA machines with or the air dryers in the bathroom, or the HVAC systems on top of every window ceiling or within every building.
So another issue we had to accomplish is how we were going to display our energy. We determined to use electrical energy because it's the easiest to transform into many different outlets. You can use it to turn on a light, you can use it to charge an iPhone, you can use it to make a sound, you can use it to do numerous things, and basically everything in our lives runs on electricity. Another way we could have displayed it is through mechanical energy, using like a pulley and gear system, but that is just so overly complicated and it would take so many more resources and time and research that we eventually decided on using electrical energy. Our goal was to charge our iPhone with our HEPA machine, but we did not produce enough wattage to get that done. To do that, we would have needed to add a gear system, or we could have duplicated the number of HEPA machines that we used to absorb energy.
Yeah, just as Aiden said, we had a proof of concept. This led to our proof of concept, realizing that we would not be able to charge iPhone or any electronic because we were not getting enough watts. Mainly because we were not getting enough amps. But to increase our amperage, we decided that we can introduce a gearbox system, either with gears or with pulley systems. Either doing that, or as you said, increasing the number of HEPA machines or the power of air being generated. But to actually charge a phone, we realized that we would require 5 times the power, either like I said, with gearbox ratios, or with just 2 more Omni-Air systems.
The advantages of using our HEPA machine to power our fan like we did is that it's multifunctional. So not only does the air get more pure, but we also are turning on a lamp. And we found studies by Buey that showed that clean air equals more efficient learning. In her research, she talked a lot about how it affects the brain and brain waves when you're breathing in fresh air compared to dirty, more harmful air for the body. And then we also found that desk lamps are very important when studying because students who use more lighting usually perform better on tests, and this correlates to when studying for homework, doing practice tests, and many things like that. And this was backed by Mott's research. He did a research on this exact thing and found that school performance was directly correlated with lighting in a room. It's also important because some students prefer just using a desk lamp instead of the full overhead lamp, as that kind of hurts their eyes sometimes, and just a more concentrated light on their paper is more beneficial to them. And this is why we created that.
Yeah, another reason why we stuck with our idea was because when looking around PFT, I saw that many students who were studying, they use headphones, and the use of headphones actually blocks out the sound of the HEPA machines, which are really, really loud. And that is why we stuck with the HEPA machines as our main contributor to blow the wind turbine and generate all of the energy that we have.
Our bill of materials. So this was very important when deciding which materials to use, because it was very key, and one of our functional requirements was to create a design that could last a week unmanned in PFT. And if you're using a flimsy piece of paper to do that, it will not happen. It'll get destroyed by the air or by the light, whatever. So we made sure we used wood that we got from Home Depot, and we used a very expensive motor that was $32 because we found that these motors were durable enough to last us over a week, and could get the job done, where if we were to settle for cheaper, we would have struggled with durability and functionality. But as you can see, our most expensive thing, 69% of it was the DC motor, and then the other the other 31% of our design came from the adapters, the wood, the light bulb, and plywood.
So the way we calculated our energy efficiency was at 3 different points. 1 from the Omni Air, which was the fluid power. 2 was the rotational energy generated by the fan blade. And 3 was the electrical power generated from the fan blade to the generator. And finally, from the conversion from the generator to our light bulb.
So like Tanner said, we recorded the power at 3 different points of our apparatus. We recorded the power from the fluid, and to record that power, we used pressure in pascals multiplied by the area multiplied by the velocity. And to get these numbers, we looked in the manual for the Omni Air system, and it basically had these numbers there for us. And then from there, we just had to convert them into the proper units and multiply them together to get our power in watts. And then for the rotational power, we used the rotational power formula, which is torque times angular velocity. And to get the angular velocity, we used a slow-mo camera with a dot on one of the blades, and we took a video and counted the number of times that our fan went around in a second to get our angular velocity. And then we found our radius and mass using a ruler and a big balance. And then we also, our third and final spot where we measured power was using a multimeter in the wires, which gave us our voltage and our amperage, and then we simply multiplied those together, and it gave us our final power at 0.528 watts, which is how much power we were using to power the light bulb. And to power a phone, we would have needed about 5 watts. So it's proof of concept, like Tanner was talking about. We can get there, we just need to increase the amperage and maybe duplicate the number of HEPA machines. This graph shows, like I just showed with our calculations, the power at all 3 phases. So obviously you're going to expect to lose some power as we go throughout our apparatus due to heat in the wires, friction on the motor, and not a perfect funnel of the air through the wind blade. But the loss of some of these fluids is good because it's still used to aerate the room. And this is a graph of as we lose wattage, and we lost in total about 24% of our original wattage. All right, now we're going to give a video display of our apparatus in motion.
So this is the video demonstration of our project that we have. This right here is the 120 volt generator with the fan connected via straw, and place in here to hold, and then we place this on the top like this.
We connect the wires to the light bulb, which sits up here, and the light bulb is useful because it can light up a room for when somebody's studying. Not only will they be able to study with one light, they'll also be able to get fresh air, which studies have shown generates better study habits and more brain efficiency.
So, after turning it on, it produces 1,200 cubic
As you can see, the fluid power goes through and it rotates the fan, which then turns into rotational power, which then uses the generator to convert it into electrical power, which powers the light bulb, turns on the light bulb. Like we said, we did not produce enough amperage to charge a phone like we wish. So in order to charge a phone, we need a couple of gears and one more type of machine.
And that is the demonstration. Thank you. So this is the video. Like I said, this is our house of qualities that we follow. And this is a slide to any of our links that we have posted to all of our stuff. And thank you.